各位
Members, good afternoon. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd just like to seek your help. I understand that members are working very hard this week. We have prepared 70 cakes in room 4, so please, before and after the meeting, you're welcome to help yourself to a piece of cake. All right, then let's get down to the agenda proper. Item number 1, confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting, minutes of the 4th meeting held on November the 4th. Members have not proposed any amendments. Can we take the minutes as read? No objection. All right. Item 2, matters arising. Report on my meeting with the CS. There is nothing in particular to report to members. Item 3, business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division report on bill referred to the House in accordance with Rule 54.4. Supplementary Appropriation 2015-16 bill. Legal advisor, please. Madam Chair, thank you. Please refer to paper LS 4/1617. The purpose of the bill is to seek a supplementary appropriation of $20 billion for the, to supplement the appropriation, the funding appropriated before under Public Finance Ordinance Section 8. This has already been approved. The purpose of the bill is to give legislative backing for the supplementary appropriation, and this is to meet additional expenses arising from pay adjustment for the civil service, the $10 billion for hospital authority to establish an endowment fund, and so on. And we don't see any particular problem with the drafting. Bills Committee? If not, the bill can receive second reading resumption debate. B, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on November 4th and tabled in Council on November 9th. Please refer to paper LS 8/1617. Legal advisor, please. There are 3 items there, Madam Chair. The first one is Marine Parks Designation Amendment Order 2016, and this is to designate the Brothers Marine Park. And the idea is to divest the control and management of the BMP in the Country and Marine Parks Authority, and this comes into operation on the 30th December 2016. SC, Mr. Stephen Ho proposes a subcommittee. Who would like to join Ms. Tanya Chan? The clerk will issue further invitation. Legal advisor, please. The last 2 items are commencement notices, and they are to designate and they are the merchant shipping control of harmful anti-fouling systems on ships regulation commencement notice, and merchant shipping prevention and control of pollution fees amendment regulation commencement notice. And this is to implement the International Convention on Control of Harmful Anti-Fouling Systems on Ship to protect the environment. The administration has not consulted any panels on the 2 notices, but in April 2015, a subcommittee has been formed to look into the notices, and members expressed support for them. SC? If not, the deadline for amendment is 7th of December. If extended, then 11th of January 2017. Item 4, further business for council meeting of November 16th and 2016. On the 16th of November, other than dealing with the remaining part of Mr. Wong Kwok Kin's motion on MPF, we're going to have two more motions. The first one is Mr. Horace Cheung's motion regarding the teaching of Chinese history as a subject for junior secondary school, and also Dr. Priscilla Leung's motion on fire safety building ordinance motion. Report number 3, 16 and 17 of subsidiary legislation and other instruments. The draft has been issued to members, and the members indicate any intention to speak. Item 5, business for council meeting of November 23rd. There will be 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written. Bills, first reading and second reading. Private column barrier bill. C, government motion. There is no government motion. Members' motion. We'll deal with two non-binding motions carried forward from the previous meetings. Position of bills committees and subcommittees. There is a paper regarding 5 items of subsidiary legislation. If members wish to speak, please notify the clerk no later than the 15th of November, Tuesday, before 5 p.m. Item 6, position of bills committee and subcommittees. As of 10th of November, Thursday, there are 8 subcommittees under the House and 2 under the panels, and there are 4 that are still pending activation. Item 7, appointment of a subcommittee to prepare for the operation of the Select Committee to which the petition presented at the Council meeting of November 2nd, 2016 has been referred. Please refer to paper CB2 125/1617, and this is to seek members' comments regarding the appointment of a subcommittee, and all the preparatory work will include the decision on the terms of reference to reflect the petition, the membership size, and the procedure for nominating his chairman, deputy chairman, and members for appointment by the president. Do you all agree to appoint this select committee? Agreed? And the member wishing to join the select committee? This is the preparatory committee for the select committee. As per usual practice, the Secretariat will invite members to join the preparatory committee. Any comments there? Mr. James Toh. Do you want to propose the members? Mr. Andrew Wen, I would like to join the preparatory committee. Anything else? Dr. Priscilla Leung, you'd like to join the preparatory committee? Right, this will be noted by the clerk. There will be further circulation as per usual practice. Mr. Wong Kwok, any comments? You'd like to join? Dr. Martin Liao, I'm not indicating to join. I'd just like to say that I was chairman of the Select Committee on the Express Railway. We had 13 members, and because of the sheer number of members, many were not able to take the full opportunities to put questions. I think with this committee, it is slightly less complicated than the previous one. I propose 11 members. You're proposing the number for the preparatory committee? Yes, the preparatory committee will discuss anything else further. Dr. Martinell proposes that the subcommittee should have 11 members. I think that's to avoid any potential chaos. Mr. Charles Mock, Madam Chair, I don't think we should debate on the number here. At the last meeting, I didn't see any particular problems with the membership of 13. It was acceptable. I think we should leave it up to the subcommittee to decide. It would be a better way forward. Are you talking about the number of members for the subcommittee? Yes, because we don't really want to repeat the previous experience. Mr. Leung? I'm okay with the number of 11 for the subcommittee, right? Dr. Martinell, you're proposing the membership for the subcommittee. Yes, I'm merely talking about the subcommittee. Anything else can be discussed further. There are 2 members who indicated to speak. Mr. James Toe. I don't have any particular comments regarding the subcommittee size. I do have some comments on the select committee, but I can leave it till later. Perhaps 14 would be a better idea. Dr. Alice Mack, or Ms. Alice Mack, Madam Chair, the number should be 11. I think Mr. Wong Kwok Kin would like to join. Ms. Eunice Yung, yes, I'd like to join. All right, then, no member seems to be raising an objection to the number of 11. Dr. Helena Wong, if there are more members than 11 signing up to join, how are we going to deal with that? By ballot or what? With the number being finalized, I think we have to put it to the vote. Madam Chair, this kind of petition is intended to go into detail about all these problems surrounding the issue. If all the members joining the subcommittee are all pro-establishment members, now you guys are in opposition to the creation of this select committee. If we have a committee dominated by the pro-establishment members who are in opposition, then how can we function? So I think the council has to be seen to be fair in dealing with the matter, otherwise it will be a wasteful use of taxpayers' money. The paper is very clear. Once the subcommittee is up and running, then it will be discussing the membership size, the terms of reference, and also the nomination of chairman and vice chairman. Dr. Priscilla Leung. Madam Chair, I've been involved in the previous select committees. One of them was the Lehman Brothers committee. We had more than 12 members. I think we had about 20 or so members at that time, and we spent 4 years without being able to complete the report. Last time I joined the select committee on Timothy Tong, we had 13 members, even with Lehman Brothers. Dr. Raymond Ho was the chairman. He objected to the idea at the beginning, but he also was involved in the probe. I think it would be more efficient for us to have a sensible number of members. Of course, we have to come to a consensus in terms of the number of members. But in terms of efficiency, in terms of the quality of questioning, if the membership size is unwieldy, it would be rather difficult and we may run out of time.
Hi.
Mr. Chang Kwok-Kwan. Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard Dr. Helen Wong's concerns. Just want to make it clear that, well, she said the pro-establishment camp was against the setting up of the subcommittee and therefore they shouldn't be allowed to join. But it is impossible that the members are confined to the non-establishment camp. So the preparatory committee is to discuss the arrangements for the select committee. So I think we can discuss the details later, but if the size of the preparatory committee is too big, because I is tasked to deal with the logistics, and if the membership is larger than the future select committee or subcommittee, then it may not be realistic. In fact, you don't have to worry too much, Dr. Wong. Otherwise, all pro-establishment member can join the subcommittee. So I think we don't need to be too worried about the size of the preparatory committee. Mr. Holden Chow, please be brief. Yes, I beg to differ from what Dr. Helena Wong said. In fact, this is just a preparatory committee. Anyone who is interested can join, and the size should not be too big. Otherwise, as a result, all our meetings will be like a full council sitting, and we won't be able to deal with our business. So why don't we follow our usual practice? We don't have to argue too much about the size of the preparatory committee. All right, the last member, please. Mr. Paul Zhe. Just for the sake of the record, of course, 20 members supported the petition, but there was no objection. So there was really no one in objection to the establishment of the select subcommittee. All right, different views were expressed. Some members expressly. All right, I really hope that this will be the last. These will be the last speakers, Dr. Helen Wong and Mr. Kenneth Leung. Dr. Wong, well, my concerns are not unfounded. Before we start the preparation, we should set the rules clear so that the pro-establishment camp will not have it all the way they want. They should not regard it as a bit rigging exercise and control the membership of the select committee, because in other panels and subcommittees, the pro-establishment camp has the tendency to take up all the chairmanship and have all the say. So I just want to make sure that the select committee will not only be comprised of pro-establishment camp members. Mr. Kenneth Leung, to respond to Mr. Paul Z's comment, so long as there are enough members in the petition, it is already sufficient to set up the select committee. There is no need to mind whether there is any objection. So can the Secretariat confirm this? So long as we have enough members standing, the select committee can be set up. It doesn't matter whether there is any objection. Mr. Martin Liu, I'd like to respond to Dr. Helen Wong's comments. For the select committee to study the delay of the XRL project, it was formed under the same circumstances as this one. So the chairman and deputy chairman were from the pro-establishment camp, and there were 5 pro-establishment members and 5 pandems in the select committee. I have not heard, even though the report has been published, that the pro-establishment camp had controlled the operation of the select committee, and there aren't any criticism that there is any wrong procedurally or whether the report has been unfair. What we have to deal with is, Mr. Liu, do you insist that the membership, the size of the preparatory committee should be 11? Any objection, please? will communicate with members after the meeting together with the Deputy Chairman, and we will come up with a membership of 11 acceptable to 1. And for details, we'll wait until the Preparatory Committee is set up. Dr. Wong, we should not just seek a consensus on the size, we should also agree on the relative or the proportion of members from the two camps. If all 11 members are from the pro-establishment camp, I would surely oppose. So please jot down the consensus here. The limit is 11 members, and for the proportion of members from two different blocks in the subcommittee, we can select committee, we can decide later. Okay? And then if there are still further views, we will deal with them in the next House committee. Okay, so it will be 11. Dr. Priscilla, do you agree? I do. I understand, Chairman. I'd like to say to Dr. Anna Wong that it's never been lopsided. According to experience, there will surely be a reasonable ratio or proportion. All right, I will coordinate together with the Deputy Chairman to come up with an arrangement acceptable to members. All right, the 7th item, proposal from the Honorable Leung Yiu-chung for setting up a subcommittee on issues relating to shopping centers, markets, and car parks in public rental housing estates and HOS estates under the House Committee. Paper number 3, CB2135/1617. Mr. Leung Yiu-chung has indicated that he will be absent from the House Committee today, and he has invited Dr. Fernando Zhang to walk us through the paper on his behalf. As usual, there will be 3 minutes for Dr. Fernando Zhang. Thank you. I propose this on behalf of Leung Yiu-chung, and I also agree to his proposal, and that is to set up a subcommittee on issues related to shopping centers, markets, and car parks in PRH and HOS developments. I think we agree that since the investment of markets, shopping centers, and car parks to Link REIT more than 10 years ago, the impact on people's livelihood is getting more and more serious. Public facilities are being operated by the Link on a purely commercial basis. Link puts its interests way above that of the residents, and this has attracted a lot of criticisms. And the Link has also outsourced the management of some of its facilities and has even sold some car parks, wet markets, and shopping malls to other operators who may further split these facilities and sell them. So these public facilities operate in a very chaotic manner. So we have the urgency to set up a subcommittee to discuss the issues of concern to residents. I note that Ms. Alice Mack has raised a similar proposal in the housing panel, which we do support. However, there is a limit on the number of such subcommittees in the Council. And for subcommittees that can be set up before the 14th of November, we may have the opportunity to take part in the balloting. But I understand that Ms. Alice Mack's proposal can only be realized after that, when there will be a meeting of the housing panel. So I've discussed with Ms. Mack. She supports our proposal as well. I think there are benefits for this subcommittee to be under the House Committee, because then it can cover a number of bureaus and departments. When we have transport or food and environmental hygiene and welfare issues, then the SWD, the STH, and the DD and respective departments can be involved. New PRH developments of the HA or HD may also be outsourced for management, so I hope the subcommittee can discuss that as well. 3 members have indicated their wish to speak. Ms. Alice Mack. Thank you. As said by Dr. Fernando Zhang, on the 3rd of November, I wrote to the housing panel asking for a subcommittee to be set up under the panel to discuss the selling of assets by the linked REIT and also the possible impact on residents. The paper letter has been circulated to all members of the panel, and then on the 8th of November, Mr. Leung Yiu-chung, after receipt of our letter, wrote to the House Committee for this matter. Of course, I believe it is more appropriate for this item to be taken up by the Housing Panel, but then, as agreed at the last Housing Committee balloting has to be done on the 14th, and the next Housing Panel will only be held on the 15th, so there is a time lag. And because of this, I will support Mr. Leung Yiu-chung's request to set up this subcommittee under the House Committee, and I hope that it can be established so as to help, or at least to pressurize the government to do something to address the impacts caused by the linked REIT to members. Linked REIT is selling facilities and its assets. So I support the setting up of this subcommittee. Mr. Andrew Wen, I support this direction. As said by Ms. Alice Mack, different members are concerned about this subject. And if we look at the proposals by Ms. Mack and Mr. Leung respectively, the focus is different. On another occasion, or in another panel, I proposed the setting up of a subcommittee to study public markets. Of course, we can have a subcommittee to discuss shopping facilities and markets, but then the scope will be too wide to handle. And Mr. Leung Yiu-chung's proposal will mainly concentrate on markets, shopping facilities under the HD and already sold to linked REIT. And so I agree to Ms. Alice Mack and Mr. Leung's proposal. Mr. Jeffrey Tam, I agree with Mr. Leung Yiu-chung's suggestion, because in the past few years, many debates about people's livelihood have to do with the divestment of HA's facilities to the linked REIT. So I support the buying of facilities from the linked REIT should it sell some of its assets further. And we should also look at how the shopping facilities under the operation of the linked REIT are faring. Since the sale of the commercial facilities of T-Mark Court to a commercial operator, people are complaining because there is no one to look after, say, the landscape, and it is now a mess. So I support the proposal. Mr. Leung Chi-chang, I support the setting up of a subcommittee suggested by Mr. Leung Yiu-chung, because the link is responsible for management of facilities of PRH and HOS developments. They're being sold in batches, and some are being redeveloped. If LegCo doesn't care about the possible impacts on the community, then we can't be accountable to the public, so I do support it. Mr. Oh Changxing, we support, or the DAB supports Mr. Leung Yiu-chung's proposal, because in outsourcing the management of public markets, the HD has created chaos, and I think we should review the policy. And I'm very concerned about the linked REIT's practice in reselling some of the shopping malls, because it fails to protect the interests of the tenants and operators. So I do support the establishment of the subcommittee.
Object. Mr. Shukachin, the link has committed so many caused so many problems, and we are in support of this idea of setting up a subcommittee. That we understand all the problems. The link has increased the management fees, and the NGOs are driven out, and they've taken away the parking concession for the disabled. All these problems are very clear. I hope that we should set up as soon as possible. All right. I get a feeling that members are in support of setting up the subcommittee. If you have strong views, please save them for the subcommittee. And there are 3 members more. I draw a line there. Mr. Holden Chow. Madam Chair, I am in favor of setting up this subcommittee because this is very much the views across the political divide. There are so many problems to deal with. I support the idea. Dr. Helena Wong, Madam Chair, the Democratic Party supports the setting up of the subcommittee. I'd like to pick up on the point made by Ms. Alice Mack. There are 7 subcommittees that have been set up. We have a quota of 10, and there is a subcommittee on animal rights. There is another one on markets. The WKCD would also like to have a subcommittee. Now we're going to have to face the balloting. And 7 members wrote to Ms. Alice Mack regarding the probe into the one-child development. And the first meeting will not take place until the 15th, unless Ms. Alice Mack agrees with gauging members' views by circulation. We will not be able to meet the deadline on the 14th. I think to be fair, we have to be fair to all the panels or all the subcommittees. Perhaps the House Chairman can put back the deadline by 1 day to the 15th. Dr. Wong, when we fixed the deadlines, we had discussion here at the House Committee, and all the members have come to this agreement. If we arbitrarily change the deadline, then for those members who are not aware of the situation, will not agree. Madam Chair, we have more than 10 committees, and members have not got any chance to raise anything. When we decided on the 14th, maybe we didn't consider this factor. No, we did consider this factor. I think about a fortnight or so ago, on the 28th, we did talk about the deadline. Some panels advanced the meeting to accommodate the deadline. Now, this has been made known to all the panels. We set this deadline in order that the panels would be able to fix to schedule their meetings to meet the deadline. So that's why we have this deadline. We did have this consideration. I fully appreciate that some could not accommodate this deadline, but the idea at that time was to allow all these panels to do so. But the trouble lies with the housing panel. There is a bit of a discrepancy. There is a time lag there. Dr. Lau Xiaolai. Madam Chair, I think this is a joint effort across the political divide to tackle the link. A lot of grassroots people and elderly people are living in the public housing estates, and things are very expensive. And I think this goes hand in hand with the idea of bazaars in the community. So I support this proposal by Mr. Leung. Right? By the sound of it, all members are in support. Right, you all Do you have an objection to the idea of setting up this committee under the House? If not, then we set up this committee. If members may indicate their intention to join to start with, and there will be further circulation of invitations. Just a reminder that at the meeting on the 28th of October, we've endorsed the number, and we have a quota of 3, and all these new committees will be subject to a balloting exercise, and members will be notified of the specific arrangement at the House Committee on the 18th of November. There is no other business meeting agenda. Thank you all very much. Yes, just also a reminder that we have prepared some cakes for members. Please help yourself to the cakes. You've been working very, very hard, working flat out this week. We're going to be looking forward to smooth proceedings in the weeks and days and weeks to come. Thank you all very much.